So let's talk a little bit about how you transitioned from this, for lack of better terms, trying to quote unquote write a joke at a time and guess what might be funny, to what you've progressed to.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was getting off the paper and in using the techniques in your course to kind of, to learn how to do that, to learn how to get off the paper, learn how to start, talking your stuff out and realizing all of those things that make you funny naturally, how you say things, the voice, looks, pauses, like I said, all that kind of stuff has to be included. And even being able to go up and try stuff, whether they're tags or different things, even on stage, which I never thought I would be that kind of comedian when I would hear comedians talk about like writing on stage. Because I had that fear and I had to be so scripted, I never thought in a million years I would be able to do that because I was so much in my head and thinking about it. And now I'm able to do that because I actually rehearse and practice it out loud, talking instead of on the paper, and then I can translate that process even to the stage. And obviously if I'm doing like a paid show or something, it's like, yeah, there might be a couple things I throw in there, but I know, I've tightened that up. But if I'm doing an open mic or something, I could play around. I could use my process my off the paper process, for lack of a better term, and bring it to the stage and come up with certain tags a lot of times, or even dig deeper into a story or a bit than and bring it to different places that I never thought it would go, just kind of organically, just on stage. And again, I never thought I'd get there. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
So would you say that what you're doing now, the way you're structuring because that's what you're doing, you're structuring what you want to say for the stage, is much more natural for you, which in turn makes it much more easy to deliver, to edit, to adjust, and you're not just working with one joke at a time, right?
Well, yeah, you've made several points in one statement that are really key, because yes, it is more organic, more natural, and when it's more natural, it tends to work with much higher frequency than it did before. Okay, so now I know that maybe 80%. I'm just throwing out a number, but a high percentage, maybe 80% or more of the stuff that I throw out there is going to work or will work eventually once I tighten it up, because, I'm saying things the way I normally would say them. It's very natural, very organic. The other thing, too, is that it isn't one joke at a time, like you said, and trying one joke, seeing if it works, trying another one. And I see a lot of comedians, especially newer comedians, doing that. And it's like, the problem with that is not only you have a less chance of that stuff working and you get frustrated, but also it takes so much more time to build an act, because you're just one joke and done, on to the next joke. And I almost see those jokes that I see people doing as almost like the premise, like they're just scratching the surface of something good, and they'll get a laugh with it, and then they leave it and go on to like the next joke, and it's like, no, I want to know more about that, dig deeper into that. And so that's what I've really learned to do, is to keep digging and keep tagging. So not only am I finding more funny in a shorter amount of time, but I'm also digging deeper, like personal, like on a personal level. Of course, that's my style. That's not everybody's style. I do more personal stories and stuff, but so I could dig deeper and also just condense that funny in a shorter amount of time using tags. So like once I set it up, and I hate to make it sound like this, but I'll just like beat it to death until I, have used, till that point of view of that story has just been totally used up as much as I can. And I've, like other comedians starting out that watch me work at these open mics and stuff, they comment on that. They're like, wow, Larry, like you just keep going, and then like you'll do the same bit that I've heard over and over again, but you always like add something new, or you try to, take it in another direction or take it further. And I'm like, yeah, because I want 5 to 7 minutes on that story. I don't want just one joke that takes up 15 seconds and then I'm done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh, I completely hear you. One of the things that I've said for years is that topic-based comedy as opposed to joke, once you set it up, you don't have to re-educate the audience. You don't have to change their frame of mind. So it really gives you leeway to use less words to say what you want to say.
Yep, that's absolutely the truth, and that's what I found is that all that funny gets condensed because I don't have to use as many words. They're already on board with it. And then, like you said, I use the paper after the fact to edit that stuff and tighten it even more. So then when I watch a video back, I'll write it out word for word, see where the setups are, where the punchline, where the tags are, and then I'll see, okay, well, I don't really need all those words, or, I can even tighten it further. That's when I use the paper. But, yeah, it's totally allowed me to be myself, find my voice, which I think, everyone talks about finding your voice, but I think that that's what it is. It's really finding your voice, I think, is more, unless you're doing a character or something, it's more just trying to be yourself, which is really the ironic thing, isn't it, that you take all these years just to try to be yourself. You know what I mean? But, yeah, that's been the biggest thing. And then the other thing that's nice about it, too, is it has allowed me, because I'm being myself and I'm just up there talking and developing material that way, it's allowed me to be more comfortable on stage than I've ever been because I'm not in my head thinking. I'm not stiff thinking, oh, my God, did I get that one word wrong in the setup, or is this not going to make, I can let it flow, like, in the moment. And I think there's that magical thing on stage when you're in the moment and you're just letting the stuff come and you kind of know where to land and you know where the funniness is, and you can always tighten it up later. But as long as you know kind of where the funny parts are and you know there's going to be enough funny in a certain amount of time, to really kill them, it allows, like, they feel that energy flow instead of you just being up there stiff and being in your head. I mean, whenever I'm in my head thinking about, like, did I say that word right or that, it's always, I just never do well. And so I need that energy. So it's allowed me to have a comfort on stage. And what's funny is even family and friends that have seen me, because now that I'm in New York, I'll go back to Cleveland maybe a couple times a year, and I don't perform all the time. I'll be home for holidays or whatever. And so it was, I think, around Easter time, I went back and performed, and some family saw me. Even though they've seen me before and they've seen me do well, they even made comments about how comfortable. They just couldn't believe how comfortable I was on stage, and to me that's a compliment because it's a testament to all the stuff we're talking about, like you know what I mean? Because that's what it's really provided me is the fact that I can be myself. I can, there's times where I do just add stuff off the cuff because I know with the way I say things funny that, okay, this is probably going to work. I can go ahead and take a chance and add this in. And, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does. And then I've just added another tag or two to a bit that I've been doing for a while, and it keeps it fresh and it keeps it, again, keeps digging and keeps extending that bit, if that makes sense.